Good morning and grand rising. I wanted to talk to you guys today a little bit about how spirituality and mental health sort of go hand in hand. I sort of started looking into these types of things and developments probably in like my early 20s. And I had been going back and forth to the doctor repeatedly because I knew something was wrong. But the way that the doctors were diagnosing me or the way that things were being said or brought to me just did not feel right. Um, a lot of the times the doctors were trying to say that this was a condition that, you can't get yourself out of. It's going to take medication. And even though society-wise or human-wise, yes, I understood that I needed my medicine and all of that, but spiritually speaking, it just would not sit right with my soul. There was more to it. So over the years, between being in psychology classes and sociology classes and social work classes, um, I ended up noticing a lot of similarities between, church environments and certain things that were coming up in my science book about, being a part of your community or being a product of your environment, and how much that environment really does have an impact on you. And with us in the Black community, trauma is a huge impact on us. Mental trauma, physical trauma, abuse, all of those things are major components in our community. And the mental aspect of this, which I sort of associate mental and spiritual because it's all in the same place and space. Your mental and your spiritual, your third eye and your crown are literally in your head. This is that whole entire area. So in the physical sense, where people are speaking on your mental stability, it's also somewhat speaking on your spiritual stability as well. Because seeing is believing, in things that you believe in, you tend to gravitate to more, or you see manifest more, you give credit to more. So, in the process of learning all of that and developing my own mental disabilities, and then realizing that a lot of my mental disabilities were actually genetic, meaning that this was something that had been done over a period of time to mutate these genes. And it also came into play, okay, something traumatic must have happened to start mutating these genes. And it's just like anything else you learn in science. In order for the subject to survive, it has to adapt to its surroundings. So if you are being abused in your surroundings, you adapt to that abusive state and place. Now, how does that come into play spiritually? Well, we are very much spiritually aware of what to do, what not to do, what feels right and what don't feel right. And honestly, that's where that whole sense of good and bad comes from. Either it's going to feel good to you or it don't feel good to you. And sometimes, depending on your purpose in this realm, bad shit may seem awesome to you. Whereas good shit may be like, ugh. But that also comes into play of your purpose and understanding your purpose as well in this realm. So historically speaking, if you go back through the science books and history books and you see people who have had those mental illnesses, traditionally speaking, religiously speaking, these people were not ill. People who could dissociate or speak to spirits or change out energies, they weren't mentally ill. They were seen as spiritual portals of entry and exit, meaning they could tap in and out of the spirit realm just like those spirits could tap in and out of that person. They were walking portals. They were walking prophesiers. They were walking healers. They were walking messengers. And each one of these people who had a disability actually had gifts. They had blessings. They had lessons. They were able to speak to the dead and summon them back up. And for those of you who don't understand that, go read the Bible. Jesus did it. Yeah, I said it. Jesus did it. So with that being said, and spiritually speaking, if you are energy or entity speaking to the dead, that is necromancy. If you are raising someone from the dead, you are a necromancer, meaning you deal with those dead. You deal with the spirits of the dead. You can conjure and raise the dead. So yes, Jesus Christ was a necromancer. He rose those from the dead. But in order for him to even do that, he somewhat had to have that lower vibration of himself as well, which comes that selfish aspect that he had in the garden when he had that one moment of consideration of, do I really gotta die for these people? I mean, I get it, God. I know you tell me your will is your way, and I got it. But bruh, have you really been down here? Here. Thank you, Spirit. I'm gonna tell you that. They worth a can of paint. Literally. But of course, he proceeded to obey and went on. But Jesus Christ only obeyed to a certain extent. Because afterwards, he was like, stay dead? Hell no. And what did he tend to do after he rose everyone else from the dead? He brought himself back. Just saying. After going down and taking keys, of course. He did that. So yeah. And when you literally start taking a lot of those religious aspects and putting them to things that you've learned into spirituality, you start seeing how puzzle pieces fit together. People who have multiple personalities or personality disorder, that is literally the manifestation of those dominant ancestors manifesting in your DNA. So, for instance, say that you are mixed with several different things, okay? For me, for instance, I am like 10% German and some other stuff, but the rest of it is African. I am able to tap into my spirit, my ancestors, because I may have had an ancestor that was a shamanic druid, or I may have an ancestor that was, of course, an Ifa priestess, a high priestess at that. And yes, I do have relatives that were high priests and priestesses in the church. I do have family members that were Shango Baptiste. So even though they don't know who they are, I know, because I had to do the research to find out who I am, where I come from. Why did my people sort of turn away from their old ways? And why do a lot of these abilities hinder me so mentally? And it really came down to the point of understanding society's viewpoint on what a disability was, and then transferring it into spiritual terms. And then that's when it made a lot of sense. Even down to dealing with your attitude in certain aspects, with me being, who I am spiritually, having the guys that I have spiritually, it makes all the sense in the world as to what was put on me in the physical realm, mentally speaking. But a big part in our community is that we don't even acknowledge that we have mental issues. We don't acknowledge that our parents suffer from PTSD. We don't acknowledge the fact that our grandparents still suffer from molestation and rape. And the bad part is they faced it when they were children, and now that they're getting older, they have a chance of facing it in the nursing homes now, because we do not have a regard of taking care of our elderly, nor do we have the respect of still reverencing or paying respect to our dead ancestors who have given us these gifts and abilities. Society teaches you that these gifts and abilities are negative and that they are mental issues and that you cannot function with them. Spiritually speaking, I'm here telling you today that is all a lie. When you know better and you know yourself and you understand a lot of the situations that have been going on around you, you can manifest a change in a lot of things. And that is sort of where I came into play with doing the Healing the Shadows ritual. Because literally after understanding myself, understanding myself, studying myself, and using myself for my own casework, doing hypnotherapy and sexual abuse trauma all on myself before I did to anybody else, it helped me learn a lot. It helped me understand a lot. And it also helped me relate to other people outside of myself. And sometimes you can't go into layman's terms of using sociology terms and book terms and stuff, because it makes people a little bit afraid of things they can't understand. So sometimes you have to break it down into a smaller term for them to get it. So those of you that say that you cannot, or you have mental abilities or mental disabilities, and people are discrediting you, stop allowing them to discredit your mental disability. It's not a disability. It is an ability. You have a power. You have a superpower. And since society cannot understand how your ability works, they call it a disability, because it is something that not everybody in the world can tap into. Only certain amount of people can tap into those abilities. Only certain amount of people can dissociate into other spirits. Only certain people can go into those times of where they are very well aware that there are other spirits inhabiting their bodies, because they've been that vessel for so long. So don't let people tell you guys that your disability is a disability. You have a superpower, baby. You have an ability to change something. Even if it's the fact that you can walk into a room and feel how everybody is feeling. Learn to focus your ability to that one person who's getting ready to commit suicide and go save a life. Even if it's to the point you can walk in the room and feel people's pain and suffering, go to the person that makes your body hurt the most and go help heal them. Sometimes you can walk in the room and hear people's thoughts. Focus on the person whose brain sounds like a midday traffic jam and go help sort that person's thought process out. You do not have a disability. You have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful ability. And I hope this video helps some of you with that. If you have dissociative identity disorder, explosive intermittent explosive disorder, multiple personalities disorder, bipolar depression disorder, all of those things are saying that you are a very empathetic being. You are a very highly spiritually in-tuned, empathetic being. You tend to feel the weight of the world on your shoulders. That is what that means. So if any of you have questions, comments, or concerns about your mental abilities and how to use them or how to exercise them, please feel free to contact me on my Facebook page Erzuli Oyela Nanki Ire, or you can go to my business website, www.tranquiltruths.com. Please feel free to subscribe and share. You never know who else may really needs to hear that their disability is actually their superpower in their ability. So again, for those of you who missed it, my website is www.tranquiltruths333.com, and you can also find me on Facebook under Erzuli Oyela Nunki E. Ray. I will also be doing my rituals and live readings there as well. So y'all know my motto, my loves. Namaste, beloved, but nah, I'ma stay over here. Holla.